Hey everyone, good to be with you for another extra time together. A little selection of thoughts and questions to hopefully complement our main session today, in which we've been looking at John the Baptist. Now, I started off though by sharing a little story of a gross injustice from my time as an 11-year-old in Miss Sam's class, and how this teacher expected more of me after I was shockingly, falsely accused of sticking some bunny ears behind her head. Well, although I have now forgiven both her and Gordon Farnes for getting me in trouble in the first place, it prompted us maybe to think about expectations that are placed on us. And in particular, we thought about those expectations which were placed on John the Baptist from before he was even born. And so for starters today, perhaps have a think about this. When you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up? And then secondly, what level of expectations would you say were placed on you as a child? And how did you respond to these? Well, in the session we unpicked a bit of the life of John the Baptist and mentioned the fact that since he was born into a priestly family line, John would therefore have been eligible to serve in the temple just as his dad and granddad and forefathers and so on would have. Now, whilst being a priest was a privileged position during biblical times, it's interesting to see that in the first letter of Peter in the New Testament, we're told this: "You, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light." And so with these words in mind, have a think about these two questions. What's your understanding of what it means to be a priest? And then secondly, what do you think it means for us to be a holy priesthood? And how might this understanding shape the way we function as a church or community? Now, we explored some of the ways in which John the Baptist realigned expectations of him by, say, embracing life in the desert rather than the temple, by wearing humble rather than expensive, luxurious clothes and robes, by preaching about the need for one-time baptism rather than daily ceremonial washing, and by performing these baptisms in a river, not in a ritual bath. Indeed, these life choices, combined with a message which sought to challenge the behaviour of the establishment and instead champion a way of honesty and generosity, well, it all made for a compelling and inspirational approach to faith and life. And so in light of this, have a think about these questions. What do you think John would have to say about church life these days? And how might we take a lead from John in how we operate as a community post-lockdown? And then finally, for now, John the Baptist was the last in a long line of prophets who were called by God to prepare the people for the coming of the Lord, the one who John himself would come to know as Jesus. It's interesting to note that a number of John's followers became followers of Jesus, most notably Andrew, who was an early disciple of John's, and probably another disciple also called John as well. Indeed, this crossover of followers could be seen as an endorsement of John the Baptist's approach, and that people were free to move from following John to following Jesus. And with Jesus himself, well, his words and his actions, not least by being baptized by John, meant that Jesus also championed and affirmed John too. And so a final question in light of this. Who would you say are the prophets of our day who Jesus would affirm? All right, let's flick off the switch on this for today, but let's pray that the light of God's love would continue to shine out of our lives in the days ahead. Thanks very much for engaging with all this once again, and until next time, take care and let's get together again soon. All right, bye for now.